Good evening, and welcome back to Whispered Histories. I'm here with you tonight as we prepare for another gentle journey through time. Take a moment to get comfortable, adjust your pillows, and let the day's worries drift away as we travel back over 4,000 years to ancient Egypt. Tonight, we're visiting the workers and artisans who built one of humanity's greatest achievements, the Great Pyramid of Giza. But this isn't a story of backbreaking labor or harsh pharaohs. Instead, we'll discover the peaceful daily rhythms of a community united in creating something magnificent, where skilled craftsmen took pride in their work, where families lived and loved in the shadow of an emerging wonder. Close your eyes if you wish, and let's walk together across the warm sands of the Giza Plateau, where the morning sun is just beginning to cast long, gentle shadows across an ancient construction site that would become the last surviving wonder of the ancient world. Chapter 1: Dawn at Giza. The first light of dawn creeps slowly across the eastern horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of gold and rose. The desert air is cool and fresh before the heat of the day arrives. In the distance, the sacred Nile flows peacefully, its waters reflecting the morning light like scattered jewels. Our story begins in a small village built specifically for the pyramid's workers, located just south of where the Great Pyramid is taking shape. The settlement is called the Horizon of Khufu, named after the pharaoh for whom this magnificent tomb is being constructed. But the workers simply call it home. In one of the modest mud brick houses, a master stone carver named Kenti awakens to the gentle sounds of his wife, Nebet, preparing the morning meal. The aroma of fresh bread baking in their small oven mingles with the scent of honey and dates. Their two children, young Senab and little Anku, sleep peacefully on woven reed mats, still lost in their dreams. Kenti rises quietly, careful not to wake his family. He's been working on the pyramid for 7 years now, and this morning routine has become as natural as breathing. He steps outside his home and breathes in the crisp desert air, looking toward the massive structure that dominates the landscape. The pyramid is nearly complete now, its smooth limestone casing stones gleaming white against the morning sky. From his vantage point, Kenti can see the gentle ramp system that spirals around the pyramid's exterior, carefully engineered to allow workers to move the massive stones into place with remarkable precision. Other workers are beginning to stir in the village. Smoke rises from cooking fires as families prepare for another day of meaningful work. Children's laughter echoes softly between the houses as they begin their morning games. Elderly grandparents emerge from their homes, ready to tend gardens and watch over the youngest children while their parents work. This is not a place of suffering or hardship, as some might imagine. Archaeological evidence tells us this was a community of skilled craftsmen, well-fed and respected for their abilities. They were not slaves, but proud workers earning good wages, receiving regular rations of bread, meat, and beer. They lived in comfortable homes with their families, and many chose to work on the pyramid for multiple seasons. The village bakery is already busy, with bakers working in shifts to provide fresh bread for the thousands of workers who will soon begin their day. The aroma of baking bread drifts on the morning breeze, a comforting constant that helps define the rhythm of life here at Giza. Kenti walks slowly through the village, greeting neighbors with gentle nods and quiet words. There's Amenhotep, the master architect, reviewing papyrus scrolls filled with precise calculations. His assistant, young Kamwasit, studies the drawings intently, absorbing the mathematical wisdom that makes these massive constructions possible. Near the village center, the work supervisors are gathering to discuss the day's tasks. Their voices are calm and methodical as they coordinate the complex choreography required to move multi-ton blocks of stone with nothing but human ingenuity, rope, and wooden levers. Chapter 2: The Community of Builders. As the sun climbs higher, painting the limestone blocks in warm, golden light, the great community of pyramid builders begins to stir in earnest. This isn't just a construction site, it's a thriving town with its own culture, traditions, and sense of pride. The workers live in an organized settlement with streets, drainage systems, and even a small temple dedicated to the gods who watch over their work. Archaeologists have discovered that this community included not just construction workers, but bakers, brewers, doctors, and priests. It was a complete society built around the single purpose of creating something that would last for eternity. Kenty makes his way toward the central courtyard where workers gather each morning to receive their assignments. Along the way, he passes the medical tent where skilled physicians tend to workers who've suffered minor injuries. The practice of medicine in ancient Egypt was surprisingly advanced, and these healers understood how to treat cuts, set broken bones, and ease the aches that come from physical labor. Near the medical area, a group of children plays a game with wooden balls and sticks, their laughter creating a peaceful counterpoint to the serious work happening all around them. Education was important to these families, and scribes regularly taught children to read and write hieroglyphs, ensuring that knowledge would pass to the next generation. The pyramid project employed an estimated 20,000 people during peak construction periods, but the work was seasonal. Most laborers worked during the Nile's flood season when agricultural work was impossible. This meant that farmers could earn extra income during the months when their fields were underwater, returning home for planting and harvest with stories of participating in something truly monumental. Kenty reaches the work assignment area, where foremen with detailed knowledge of the pyramid's construction phases organize teams for specific tasks. Today, he'll be working with a group of master carvers on the pyramid's capstone, the final piece that will crown this incredible achievement. The relationship between workers and supervisors appears to have been respectful and collaborative. Graffiti found inside the pyramid shows that work teams had names like Friends of Khufu and Drunkards of Menkaure, suggesting a sense of camaraderie and even humor among the builders. As teams form and receive their daily bread rations, there's a quiet sense of purpose in the air. These workers understood they were creating something unprecedented. The precision required to build the Great Pyramid, with sides that vary by less than 2 inches and corners that are square to within just 3 arc minutes, demanded not just skill, but dedication and pride in one's craft. A young apprentice named Senebke approaches Kenty respectfully. He's been learning the stone carver's art for 2 years now, and his enthusiasm reminds Kenty of his own early days on the project. Together, they collect their tools, copper chisels, wooden mallets, measuring cords, and plumb bobs, simple instruments that, in skilled hands, could achieve remarkable precision. The tools themselves tell a story of craftsmanship and care. Each worker was responsible for maintaining his own implements, and many tools show signs of careful repair and modification to suit individual working styles. These weren't mass-produced implements, but personal tools that became extensions of their users' skills and experience. Chapter 3: The Rhythm of Work. The workday begins with a gentle rhythm that will continue until the afternoon heat becomes too intense. Teams move with practiced coordination, each person knowing their role in the complex dance of pyramid construction. Kenty and his carving team make their way up the spiral ramp that winds around the pyramid's exterior. The ramp itself is an engineering marvel, carefully graded and reinforced to bear the weight of massive stone blocks while allowing workers to climb safely to increasing heights. The surface is covered with sand and water to reduce friction, making it easier to drag heavy loads. The blocks they work with today were quarried from the Giza Plateau itself, meaning the pyramid was built largely from local stone. The limestone is relatively soft when first quarried, making it easier to shape and carve. Only after exposure to air does it harden to its final strength, a natural characteristic that the ancient builders understood and utilized in their construction timeline. As they work, the carvers chat quietly about their families, their techniques, and their hopes for the future. Senebke asks thoughtful questions about the geometric principles behind the pyramid's shape, and Kenti explains how the ancient builders understood sophisticated mathematical concepts that ensured the structure's stability. The angle of the pyramid's sides, approximately 51 degrees, wasn't chosen arbitrarily. This angle provides optimal stability while creating pleasing proportions that the ancient Egyptians associated with sacred geometry. The builders understood that they were creating not just a tomb, but a representation of cosmic order that would inspire awe for thousands of years. Nearby, other specialized teams work with quiet focus. Stone masons fit blocks together with precision that still amazes modern engineers. The joints between massive stones are so tight that a knife blade can't be inserted between them. This wasn't achieved through brute force, but through careful measurement, skilled cutting, and patient fitting. The sound of work is surprisingly peaceful, the soft scraping of copper tools against stone, the quiet conversations of craftsmen discussing techniques, the rhythmic tapping of mallets guided by experienced hands. Occasionally, a work song drifts across the site as teams coordinate their movements, but even these songs are gentle and measured. Water carriers move among the workers, providing regular refreshment from large ceramic jars cooled by evaporation. The ancient Egyptians understood the importance of staying hydrated in the desert climate, and archaeological evidence shows that workers received not just water, but milk, beer, and even wine as part of their provisions. The precision work continues throughout the morning. Each stone must be shaped not just to fit its immediate neighbors, but to maintain the pyramid's overall geometry as it rises toward its apex. Master builders regularly check measurements using cubit rods and plumb lines, ensuring that the structure remains true to its planned dimensions. Kenti works on decorative elements that will grace the pyramid's capstone. Though most of the pyramid's surface was originally covered in smooth white limestone casing stones that have since been removed, the top of the structure featured more elaborate decoration. His careful chiseling creates subtle patterns that will catch and reflect sunlight, making the completed pyramid's peak shine like a beacon visible from great distances. As the morning progresses, the work site takes on an almost meditative quality. The repetitive motions of skilled craftwork, combined with the satisfaction of seeing daily progress on this monumental project, create a sense of peaceful purpose that defines life at Giza. The workers understand that they are participating in something larger than themselves, a project that connects them to the gods, to their pharaoh, and to eternity itself. This spiritual dimension of the work helps explain why archaeological evidence suggests remarkably low rates of workplace injury and high levels of worker satisfaction. Chapter 4: Midday Rest and Community. As the sun reaches its zenith and the desert heat becomes intense, work gradually slows and then stops for the midday break. This pause in construction activity is not a sign of laziness, but a practical adaptation to the Egyptian climate that has been observed for thousands of years. Workers make their way down the pyramid's ramps and gather in shaded areas around the work site. Palm frond shelters provide relief from the blazing sun, and cool water from underground cisterns offers refreshment. The midday meal is a social time when different work teams mingle and share stories. Kenti finds his usual spot in the shade of a supply shelter, joined by Senebke and several other craftsmen from various specialties. Their conversation flows easily from technical details of their work to family news and gentle humor about the challenges of desert construction. A master architect named Himeyunu, historically, the actual architect believed to have overseen the Great Pyramid's construction, often joins these informal gatherings. Despite his high rank, he treats the craftsmen with respect and listens carefully to their observations and suggestions. The pyramid project succeeded partly because of this collaborative spirit that valued expertise regardless of social position. The workers share a meal of bread, onions, garlic, and beer, foods that archaeological analysis of worker remains confirms were dietary staples. The bread is hearty and nutritious, the onions and garlic help prevent disease in the communal living situation, and the beer provides both calories and a safe alternative to water that might carry illness. During this rest period, some workers tend to personal tasks, mending tools, writing letters to family members working elsewhere in Egypt, or simply resting in preparation for the afternoon's work. Others engage in games of Senet, an ancient Egyptian board game that required strategic thinking and provided entertainment during leisure hours. Children from the worker village often visit during the midday break, bringing messages from family members or simply enjoying the chance to see the great construction project up close. Their presence adds to the community feeling of the site and reminds the workers of the legacy they're creating for future generations. The medical staff uses this break time to check on workers who've suffered minor strains or cuts, applying treatments made from honey, willow bark, and other natural remedies that ancient Egyptian medicine had proven effective. The care available to pyramid workers was sophisticated for its time and demonstrates the project's commitment to worker welfare. Musicians sometimes perform during the rest period, playing gentle melodies on flutes, harps, and drums. Music was an important part of Egyptian culture, and these performances help maintain morale and community spirit among the large workforce. The songs often tell stories of great achievements and heroic deeds, inspiring the workers to see their own contributions as part of Egypt's glorious history. As the break continues, conversations turn to technical challenges and creative solutions. A rope maker discusses new techniques for creating stronger lifting cables. A ramp engineer explains modifications that will make it easier to move the increasingly heavy stones required for the pyramid's upper sections. Knowledge flows freely among the specialists, contributing to the project's continued success. The sense of community extends beyond the immediate work site. Families in the worker village maintain vegetable gardens that supplement the official food rations. Women skilled in textile work create and repair the clothes and ropes needed for construction. Elderly workers who can no longer perform heavy labor contribute their experience as advisors and teachers. Chapter 5: Afternoon Precision. As the intense midday heat begins to subside, work gradually resumes with the same careful pace that characterizes the entire pyramid project. The afternoon shift focuses on precision tasks that require clear thinking and steady hands, the kind of work that makes the difference between a good building and a lasting wonder. Kenti returns to his work on the capstone decorations, but now he's joined by other master craftsmen working on the pyramid's final details. The completion of the Great Pyramid is approaching after more than 2 decades of construction, and every remaining task requires the highest level of skill. The afternoon light creates perfect working conditions for detailed carving. The angle of the sun reveals subtle variations in the stone's surface that might be invisible at other times of day. Master carvers have learned to use this natural lighting to guide their work, creating surfaces that will catch and reflect light in precisely calculated ways. Near Kenti's work area, a team of surveyors checks the pyramid's dimensions one final time. Using nothing more than ropes, plumb bobs, and careful observation of stellar positions, these ancient engineers achieved accuracy that rivals modern construction techniques. The base of the Great Pyramid is level to within just 2.1 centimeters, a remarkable achievement for any era. The surveying work requires intense concentration and collaboration. Team members call out measurements in quiet voices, double-checking calculations that must account for the Earth's curvature and the slight settlement of the massive structure under its own weight. These corrections demonstrate sophisticated understanding of engineering principles that wouldn't be rediscovered in Europe for more than 1,000 years. As the work proceeds, the pyramid's internal chambers receive final attention from specialized teams. The king's chamber, with its red granite sarcophagus, is being prepared for its eventual royal occupant. The chamber's acoustics are remarkable. A single handclap produces a resonant echo that lasts for several seconds, suggesting that the builders understood and deliberately created these sound properties. The Grand Gallery, with its soaring corbelled ceiling, represents one of the most impressive architectural achievements within the pyramid. Workers in this space move with particular care, aware that they're walking through what will become one of humanity's most mysterious and beautiful interior spaces. Outside, teams work on the pyramid's casing stones, the smooth white limestone blocks that will give the completed structure its brilliant appearance. These stones were quarried across the Nile at Tura, famous for producing the finest limestone in Egypt. Each casing stone was cut to fit its specific position on the pyramid, requiring measurements accurate to fractions of an inch. The process of fitting casing stones demonstrates the builder's sophisticated approach to quality control. Each stone is temporarily positioned, carefully marked for any necessary adjustments, removed for final shaping, and then permanently installed. This methodical approach ensures that the pyramid's surface will be perfectly smooth and precisely aligned. Senebke works alongside experienced masons, learning techniques that will serve him throughout his career. He observes how master craftsmen read the grain of the stone, how they adjust their techniques for different types of limestone, and how they achieve the mirror-smooth finishes that will make the completed pyramid shine like a beacon. The late afternoon also brings visits from high-ranking officials who come to inspect the work's progress. These inspections are formal but respectful, with officials acknowledging the skill and dedication of the craftsmen. The pyramid project represents a source of national pride, and those working on it are viewed as contributing to Egypt's glory. As shadows begin to lengthen, the quality of light changes again, revealing different aspects of the workers' achievements. The pyramid's edges appear sharp and clean against the desert sky. Its surfaces show the subtle variations in color and texture that come from using local limestone quarried at different times and from different layers of the geological formation. The coordination required for this afternoon work is remarkable. Hundreds of workers must move in harmony, each completing specialized tasks that contribute to the whole. The system works because it's based on deep knowledge, careful planning, and mutual respect among craftsmen who understand that their individual excellence serves a greater purpose. Chapter 6: Evening Reflection. As the sun begins its descent toward the western horizon, casting long shadows across the Giza Plateau, the day's work gradually comes to a peaceful conclusion. The timing isn't arbitrary. Ancient Egyptian work schedules were carefully calibrated to the rhythms of the desert climate and the seasonal patterns that governed all life along the Nile. Kenti and his team carefully clean and store their tools in the wooden chest that will keep them safe overnight. Each tool is inspected for damage and placed in its designated spot. This ritual of tool care reflects the craftsman's pride in his equipment and his understanding that tomorrow's work depends on maintaining today's instruments in perfect condition. The pyramid looms above them, now casting a massive shadow that provides welcome relief from the day's heat. From this angle, with the setting sun behind it, the structure appears even more monumental, a geometric mountain created by human hands and dedication over the course of more than 20 years. Workers begin their journey back to the village, walking in small groups along well-worn paths between the work site and their homes. Their conversations are quiet and satisfied, the talk of craftsmen who have spent a day doing meaningful work they can be proud of. There's discussion of tomorrow's tasks, gentle humor about the day's challenges, and appreciation for progress made on their monumental project. The village comes alive with the sounds of evening preparation. Cooking fires are lit, and the aroma of evening meals begins to drift through the settlement. Children run to greet returning parents, eager to hear stories of the day's work on the Great Pyramid. Elderly family members who spent the day tending gardens or caring for the very young gather around cooking areas, ready to share the evening meal and the day's news. Kenty arrives home to find Nebet preparing a dinner of bread, vegetables from their small garden, and fish caught that morning in the Nile. Their children, Senub and Anku, have spent their day in the village school, learning to read and write hieroglyphs from an elderly scribe who takes pride in educating the next generation. The evening meal is a time for family conversation and reflection. Kenty describes his work on the capstone decorations, explaining to his children how the patterns he carves will catch sunlight and make the pyramid's peak shine like a star. Nebet shares news from the village: a new baby born to the family of copper workers, plans for a festival to celebrate the upcoming harvest season, letters received from relatives working on other royal projects throughout Egypt. After dinner, families often gather in the village's central area for evening entertainment. Musicians play gentle melodies on flutes and harps. Storytellers share traditional tales of gods and heroes, often adapting their stories to include themes relevant to the pyramid builder's experience. Children play quiet games while adults discuss the day's events and plan for tomorrow's tasks. The evening also provides time for personal reflection and spiritual practice. Many workers visit the small temple in the village center, offering prayers of gratitude for successful work and protection for the challenges ahead. The spiritual dimension of pyramid building was never far from the workers' minds. They understood that they were creating not just a tomb, but a sacred structure that would serve as a bridge between the earthly and divine realms. As darkness settles over Giza, oil lamps begin to flicker in windows throughout the worker village. Night watchmen begin their rounds, protecting both the village and the work site from the few dangers that the desert night might bring. The sounds of evening gradually give way to peaceful quiet, broken only by the gentle conversations of night shift workers and the distant calls of desert animals. Chapter 7: Legacy of the Gentle Builders. In the quiet of the desert evening, as stars begin to appear in the clear sky above Giza, it's time to reflect on the remarkable achievement these gentle builders created through their daily dedication, skill, and community spirit. The Great Pyramid that rises before us in our imagination represents far more than the tomb of a single pharaoh. It stands as testament to what human beings can accomplish when they work together toward a common goal, applying knowledge, skill, and patience over many years to create something truly lasting. Archaeological evidence tells us that the workers who built the Great Pyramid were well treated and took pride in their contributions. Graffiti left by work gangs shows humor and camaraderie. The worker village remains reveal a planned community with adequate housing, medical care, and food supplies. Skeletal analysis of worker remains shows that these people were well fed and received medical treatment for work-related injuries. The precision achieved in the Great Pyramid's construction continues to amaze modern engineers. The base is square to within just 2.0 centimeters. The sides are aligned to the cardinal directions with an accuracy of 3/60th of a degree. The entire structure, containing approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, varies from perfect geometric proportions by less than 0.05%. These achievements weren't the result of advanced technology unavailable to other ancient civilizations, but of careful planning, sophisticated mathematical knowledge, and the patient application of human skill over many years. The builders understood principles of engineering, mathematics, and astronomy that wouldn't be formally documented in other cultures for centuries. The pyramid's internal structure reveals equally impressive achievements. The king's chamber contains a granite sarcophagus that was clearly installed during construction, as it's too large to fit through the passage system. The Grand Gallery's corbelled ceiling demonstrates sophisticated understanding of structural engineering. The precision of the internal passages, designed to align with specific stars at specific times, shows remarkable astronomical knowledge. But perhaps most impressive is the evidence of the human community that made this achievement possible. The Great Pyramid wasn't built by slaves driven by whips, as popular fiction sometimes suggests, but by skilled craftsmen who lived in a well-organized community, received fair compensation for their work, and took pride in contributing to something greater than themselves. The seasonal nature of the work meant that most laborers returned home for planting and harvest, bringing with them stories of their participation in creating one of humanity's greatest monuments. These stories spread throughout Egypt and beyond, inspiring other communities and contributing to the development of increasingly sophisticated building techniques. The knowledge gained during the pyramid's construction influenced Egyptian architecture for centuries. Techniques developed at Giza were applied to temples, palaces, and other royal tombs throughout the pharaonic period. The mathematical and engineering principles discovered by the pyramid builders became part of Egypt's intellectual heritage. The social organization required for the pyramid project also had lasting influence. The coordination of thousands of workers, the logistics of feeding and housing a large temporary population, and the management of complex multi-year construction projects established patterns that would be repeated in other ancient civilizations. Modern visitors to the Great Pyramid often comment on the sense of peace and majesty that surrounds the structure. This isn't accidental, it reflects the spirit in which the monument was created. The builders understood that they were creating something sacred, something that would inspire awe and contemplation for thousands of years. The pyramid's alignment with stellar positions wasn't just about religious beliefs, but reflected deep human desire to connect earthly achievements with cosmic order. The builders saw their work as participating in the fundamental harmony of the universe, creating a structure that would endure as long as the stars themselves. As our gentle journey through the world of the pyramid builders draws to a close, imagine yourself settling down for the night in the peaceful worker village at Giza. The Great Pyramid rises in the starlight, its limestone blocks glowing softly in the desert night. The sounds of the settlement gradually quiet as families settle into their homes after another day of meaningful work. The night air is cool and fresh, carrying the distant sound of the Nile flowing peacefully toward the Mediterranean. Somewhere in the darkness, night watchmen make their quiet rounds, their footsteps soft on the sandy paths between houses. A gentle breeze stirs the palm fronds that provide shade during the day, creating a soft rustling sound that seems to whisper of the great achievements being accomplished here. In homes throughout the village, children fall asleep listening to their parents' gentle voices telling stories of the day's progress on the Great Pyramid. These stories become part of their dreams, connecting them to the magnificent project that defines their community's purpose and pride. The workers rest deeply, their sleep the peaceful rest of people who have spent their day doing work that matters. Their dreams are filled with images of perfectly fitted stones, precisely measured angles, and the satisfaction that comes from contributing their skills to something that will last forever. Tomorrow will bring another day of careful work, another step closer to completing humanity's greatest monument. But tonight, there is only rest, peace, and the quiet satisfaction of craftsmen who know they are creating something truly wonderful. The stars will slowly overhead, the same stars that guided the pyramid builders in aligning their magnificent creation. In their light, the Great Pyramid stands eternal, a testament to human skill, dedication, and the peaceful cooperation that can accomplish miracles. And so we leave our gentle builders to their well-deserved rest, carrying with us the inspiration of their achievement and the peaceful spirit in which they approached their monumental task. May their example of patience, skill, and community guide us into our own peaceful sleep. Sweet dreams, and thank you for joining me on this gentle journey to ancient Giza. Rest well, knowing that somewhere in the desert night, the Great Pyramid stands as eternal proof of what human beings can accomplish when they work together with skill, patience, and peaceful determination. And that brings us to the end of tonight's gentle journey. I hope this story has helped you find some peace and perhaps taught you something new about our fascinating past. If you enjoyed tonight's bedtime history, please consider subscribing for new stories. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you in the next gentle adventure through time.